Hey everyone, it's Friday. You should be on Polygons in the coordinate plane real world guided notes. Sergio and Linnea live on the same street. Their houses are shown on the diagram below. You also have this diagram on your paper, so you're following along with me on part A. The question is, if the length of each square represents 1 yard, how far is the point in the middle of Linnea's house from the point in the middle of Sergio's house? So they're talking about one of these, one of these being 1 yard. So with that being said, we can easily do one of two things. We could do our bunny hop, go from the middle of Sergio's house, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the length of how far is the point in the middle of Linnea's house from the point in the middle of Sergio's house? Well, that answer would be 11 yards. Now, it's not yards squared because they're not talking about area. They're just talking about distance here, the length, which is essentially like the outside of a rectangle. If we made that, that would just be the perimeter. But they're just talking about one side length. So since there are 30 instructional days left until K-Prep, we want to be making sure that we're producing proficient distinguished work at all times. So to answer this question, I have to restate. And with that, I did the point in the middle of Linnea's house is 11 yards from the point in the middle of Sergio's house. So the reason I'm doing 11 yards and not 11 units is because they already told us the unit of measurement they wanted us to use, which is 1 yard. Another way I could solve this problem is I know that my point in the middle of Sergio's house is located at x negative 7. So that looks like negative 7. And I'm looking at the absolute value because I want to see how far away is Sergio's house from 0. So negative 7, I'm doing the absolute value. I'm adding, since opposite signs, the point absolute value of Linnea's house, which is 4 on the x, which essentially the absolute value of negative 7 is 7. And if I add that to the absolute value of 4, which is 4, 7 plus 4 is 11. Now moving on to part B. There is a Quickie Mart located 5 blocks below and 3 blocks to the left of Linnea's house. The local community is considering building a park in the shape of a triangle. The triangle would be formed by the points at Sergio's house, Linnea's house, and the Quickie Mart. What would be the area of the park built by the community? So the first thing I'm going to do is I know that Quickie Mart is located 5 blocks below Linnea's house. So I'm going to go 5 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's 3 blocks to the left. So I can get my point and get 1, 2, 3 to the left. So the ordered pair of where Quickie Mart is located is x on 1, 0. My Quickie Mart ordered pair would be 1, comma 0. So now that I've labeled Quickie Mart on my coordinate plane, I need to create a line segment from Linnea's house to Quickie Mart, another line segment from Sophia's house to Linnea's house, and our last line segment from Quickie Mart to Sergio's house. Because it said that they're trying to create a shape of a triangle. So we need to make sure our shape is a triangle, which indeed it is. When we're trying to find area, the most important thing about finding area of polygons is that we have vertical or horizontal line segments. And the line segment from Sergio's house to Linnea's house is indeed a horizontal line segment. This one right here. And we already know from part A that that is 11 units. Not 11 units, 11 yards. Because we're talking about yards from earlier. So we know that our base is 11 yards. Now we need to figure out our height. We could do this one of two ways. We already know the area formula for the triangle is base times height divided by 2. I'll write that out for us. Base times height divided by. And we have our base already, which is 11 times h divided by 2. So we just need to figure out our height. And we can do that by creating a line from the deepest point of our triangle to our base, which I am going to do that now. Now this line is going to have to be imaginary because I'm not actually breaking my triangle into two. Just finding the height. That's the base, that's the top. So now that we've created this imaginary line, we can go ahead and do our bunny hops, or we can use absolute value. 3, 4, 5. So our height is actually 5 yards. Now that I figured out my base and my height, I can substitute those measurements in for my formula, which is how I got 11 times 5 divided by 2. And when I solve that, it's also equal to 55 divided by 2. And when I do 55 divided by 2, I get 27.5 yards squared. And remember, we're talking about yards as our unit of measurement is because part A, they said that a length of 1 is a yard. And so that's why we're talking about yards here. And remember, area is always going to be squared because we're talking about square units. And one of those units are a square. Remember, scholars, we need to be producing proficient distinguished work at all times, which is why I restated my question in my answer by saying the area of the Triangle Park built by the community is 27.5 yards squared, or 27.5 yards squared. The rest of class today you'll be spending independently by completing the rest of this handout and then going back to any other handouts that you may have not completed throughout the week. I will be coming back and giving you guys grades for all of these assignments, and it's important that you are producing proficient distinguished work at all times. We're not being lazy, we're showing our work, we're showing every single step, and we're boxing our answers. So make sure you're reading directions carefully and looking back at your answer, because sometimes we make those silly mistakes and we don't want to throw our whole problem off because of that. I can't wait to see you guys on Monday and see all of the hard work that you produced. I'm so excited. Remember, equivalent expressions is due today, so you should be having 5 blue ribbons by the end of the day today. So make sure if you don't, you're going home and getting that done. Have a good weekend.